Okay. So, yep. All right. This is a TVP. It said on the loading screen, actually, not a TvZ. So even though he's a random,
it's a TV random, but.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw Protoss on the replay screen. I must have been looking at something else. I'm blind. Never mind. Yeah, I thought like in the replay lobby it said random. That's weird. Never mind. Okie doke. So before we get into it, you wrote me a very simple build write-up initially, and then I asked you to write some more stuff. So I am gonna grab a big set of extra TvZ notes. So initially you just written, look, your goal is Reaper Fast Expand, you like to go for a 3 gas, 6 Hellion, Liberator, and then BC Harass, and you like to go into Mech. Okay, and then I asked you to write down some more stuff, and you wrote down, okay, we're gonna go Deeper Rax. So it's a Rax gas opening, SCV scouts to look at the timing as natural, see if you prefer the lings or not, fantastic. Maybe build your natural on the high ground. So I guess that's like if your opponent's gone for a very fast pool or like a 1-base Ravager or something like that. But normally you'd just leave your Reaper on the low ground, I imagine, if you see a pool first.
Yeah. Pool first? No. Well, when I see a pool first, I wall off and leave my Reaper on the high ground with hold control key, so he doesn't jump down and get raped by links when I don't look at it.
Okay, so there is a big difference between an early pool and just a 17 pool spawning pool before hatchery. So that's a pool first build, where with just a pool first, your Reaper can stay on the low ground, and there's no need to build the command center on the high ground at all. If your Reaper's going to stay at home, you'll need to micro a little bit, especially if they build 6 or 8 Zerglings. But it's actually a really good trade for you. And that way your command center stays on the low ground and there's no way they can cancel it. But if they go for like a 12 pool, 13-12, really fast 1-base Link Bane, or a couple Zerglings very early into very fast Ravager, then arguably you might want to build the command center on the high ground. I'd say pretty much every scenario though, you can get away with it on the low ground. So that's something we might want to revisit, is I want you to just say as a little note for yourself, make sure you're double checking. Make sure you check replays and aren't overreacting versus 17 pool. CC can go on low ground versus that. So your barracks is done, you go for your command center, factory, second gas. You get a reactor on your barracks. So we've gone Marine first, yep, good. We're gonna go 6 Hellions, Fusion Core, we're gonna go a Liberator into a Battlecruiser. We're gonna try to hit 3 points, Lib, BC, and Hellions. Beautiful, I love that. And then we're gonna go 5 more factories, 2 armories. Depending on the Zerg tech, you choose your mech composition. Yep.
Yeah, but actually at this point I already scouted the Roach Warren, so I thought I canceled all that and tried to get out a siege tank as fast as possible, and I wasn't fast enough.
Okay, so let's ignore this replay and let's just talk about the plan for now. We'll come back and talk about this replay in a second. But let's talk about your build order, and I really want you to focus on what's written down in your build, because there's a bunch of things missing here, and there's a few things where writing down your builds in just a bit more of a neater format will actually make a big difference to you. So really cool little thing. Look at your build order write-up. It's down here on page 3 and the start of page 4 for TvZ in your document. So you've written like barracks, but what's really cool is if you look at the way I write up builds, so the way I would write this would be, we'd write barracks, and then we'd do a little indent, and we'd go Reaper. And it's also nice if we actually use dot points as well. So let's just make the whole thing a nice dot point list. So this works really well. Check this. So we can go Control-Shift-8 is the shortcut for that. And then with the racks, we can do indent and what the barracks does. Reaper, Marine, Reactor, swap off. Now, what do we do with our barracks after it swaps off the reactor? Do you build a tech lab straight away every single game?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So you see how we're writing this, and then do you start stim immediately off that every? Well, no, you don't, of course, because you're playing Mech.
No.
So what do you build more Marines out of that barracks, or does it just kind of idle there for a little bit normally?
No, it's idle there. Yeah, before I swap it with the starport.
Okay, swap with starport, and then it can kind of just build some add-ons for your other factories, right?
Yep.
Build add-ons for other factories. Awesome. So it's just nice to kind of have these little indented lists so you're very sure what each structure is doing. Other than that, though, the more important thing with this build is there's a few key pieces of information missing. So we did write command center in, that's good. We haven't written the third gas in this build, or have I missed it? Like, I'm looking down, because you'd mentioned you get a fast third gas, which you do need. So when do you think you would normally go for that third gas?
Most of the time straight away after the starport.
Okay, cool. So we can say fusion core when starport is finished, and then +1 liberator. So this is kind of what we're going to do instead. So we're going to say starport, right? So we can just do it this way, and we can write this just a little bit neater. Starport, liberator, swap to tech lab, BC. And then what does it do after the BC? Do you build Yamato? Do you make a second battle cruiser, or do you just swap it off?
Most of the time I build more battle cruisers and Yamato.
Okay, so we'll just say BC production. So it just keeps building BCs more or less. Cool. So what's nice there, and then at the starport, so basically when this at 100% starport, though if you prefer to just say start fusion core when starport's finished, that's fine. Everyone has their own shorthand. We'll go fusion core, but what else goes down with the fusion core? Plus third gas. We can just line those up so they happen at the same time, right? Starport finishes, and then we do those. Maybe you change that. Maybe we need it slightly earlier than that, but it's really important to have that really nailed down. Now, the other interesting part here is this is just a little bit loose. Go up to 5 factories and 2 armories, right? It's good that you've written it down, and you've actually included most of the important points, especially for your league and tier, Diamond 3. You've put a lot more notes in here than most players do at your league, which means you're already much more organized mentally than a lot of the players I've been coaching recently, which is great. That's really good. If we can just kind of think about that in a normal game, obviously we don't have a replay that shows us. 5 factories, 2 armories. Okay, so do you normally go all 5 factories at once, or do you like go 2 more factories up to 3 and then another 3 factories after that, or do the armories go down first?
From 1 factory to 3 to 5. So
Okay.
I go up to 5 when I put the 3rd CC down.
So would you go 2 more factories, then 2 armories, and then 2 more factories? Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. That's good. Just because you probably do all this and it's organized in your head. It's just nice to make sure we're 100% consistent on it. And I find writing it down ensures that. Make sure we don't have no reason variation, right? And it's not like you're looking back at this build order all the time. This is just making sure your brain organizes it, because we can often get through doing a build order kind of feeling it out and off memory and not really that organized, and it can look quite good, but it's never quite perfect, right? It's always just a little bit off. So awesome. This was a pretty good build write-up, dude. I'm really happy with that build. I like the build. I think it's great. You said mostly tank Hellion focus, like really traditional mech, which is awesome. And this is good. This is making me very happy. So that basically says, hey, the build order is good. Overall, you're paying attention to most of the important things. And let's start looking at this replay and actually talk about this one. Coaching 17th August. So we're going to focus on TvZ. And what we're going to talk about here, of course, is a hatch first, sneaky roach bust is exactly what we're dealing with. So let's go back. Let's take a look. So first things first, frustrating build order from our opponent. They've caught us off guard. Let's analyze this from his point of view. Okay. So if we look at his build, he's made it look like a normal hatch first. Or did he actually go pool first? Let's check. I think it was hatch first. Yeah, and he's even going to drone harass, just trying to be annoying. So it's like hatch gas pool, and then he's just going to go immediate roach warren, even delaying like queens to make sure he can just sneak this out as fast as possible. So everything looks totally normal for you. Your Reaper. Complete. Oh, you accidentally chased with an SCV all the way across this map. So that's a little bit lazy. Should have pulled that home at some point much earlier. And that Reaper feels quite late for you as well. So let's go look at the damage we took from this drone. I think we were a bit slow to pull a worker. Let's check. Actually, let's check at the very start, the first of all, the barracks timing. Because whenever you die to these sort of builds, like just a few seconds here or there can add up so much, right? Oh, we were slow to put on gas slightly. So you can see we only had 40 gas when our barracks finished. Not a big deal, but then we didn't start our Reaper straight away because we were distracted by the drone, I guess. Oof, yep. That's a really big delay. Yeah, that's really unfortunate because this is a smaller map, and because you go barracks before gas, I would say on average, you should be getting a drone almost every game if they go hatch first on these smaller maps. At least one drone kill. Like, that Reaper can really get in their face and cause trouble for your opponent. So that's actually a real shame that Reaper's like delayed by, you know, quite a few seconds there, because you can look at this and he's actually not building a queen from his natural. So he's even more exposed than a normal player. He's only building 2 lings because he's trying to get up to this greedily. So if that Reaper was here right now, you'd get in this naturally and be like, already, you know, what's going on? And as it is, you see no workers in there, no queen. So we're going to jump up. Oh, we weren't watching. So we are going to jump up. We're going to see the roach horn, but it's a bit later than it needs to be. And the thing is, I think just seeing nothing in the natural should have been the tell, right? That something is not quite right. So we could have already been kind of going, whoa. But let's imagine at this point, we've seen the problem. So what's the response for you? Tech lab on the factory and bunker goes down immediately?
Kind of immediately, yeah.
Okay. So we're mapping this out. And it's very, first things first. Tells is the first thing, right? So no drone production on natural is a tell, right? No queen on natural, that's a tell. Fast roach warren and 2 gases, super big tell, right? Any of those, any one of those things tells you there's some crazy shit happening and you can probably just react straight away, right? So let's talk about that. So no production on natural, no queen on natural, fast roach warren, 2 gases, super big tell. Reaction, so you said reaction is bunker immediately. Okay, so bunker on high ground. Yeah.
My first idea was getting Nidus because I got Nidus so often lately. So that's why I built a starport and just want to get a Viking out. And then I just thought about the bunker.
Yeah. And that's why that's a huge mistake, right? Because there's no way a Nidus can hit you. He doesn't have a lair, right? So go back to like look at exactly what you saw. So your Reaper saw this at about 2 minutes 40. Even though it was delayed in coming in, was it 250, 3 minutes? So, bam, no lair. So what's the fastest a Nidus worm could hit you?
Not sure. I guess my problem is also I never off-race. I only play Terran.
Yep.
My whole life.
How long does a lair take off the top of your head? Just guess.
No fucking idea.
Guess.
How quick you can get it, you mean?
No, just how long does the upgrade take on the lair from start to finish?
Okay.
The upgrade, yeah. When you click lair, how long till it finishes?
45 seconds.
57, I believe. Let's check. Yeah, 57 seconds. So there's a solid minute, okay? So, Nidus scare is what I'm calling this little subheading. So lair is 57 seconds. Do you know how long a Nidus worm takes to build from scratch?
I guess I would also say 45.
I have no idea. I'm looking it up on Wikipedia right now. I would say it's about probably 36, 40 seconds, something like that. Let's take a look. It says here that...
36.
It is 36? Okay, cool.
36, yeah.
I looked up Nidus worm and it came up with the actual exit that you place, which is another 14 seconds on top of that.
Clicked at the drone in the menu. So.
Oh yeah, Nidus network, right? Yeah. So 36 plus 14 seconds. But let's ignore the 14 because when it starts popping up in our base, we want to be killing it straight away, right? So let's say lair is 57 and then Nidus is 36. So we can just look at that and we can say, okay, so total of, a minute 33, right? Let's say a minute 35. No one's going to start the Nidus the second the leg is. Minute 35 until the Nidus can be ready. That's ages away, right? If the layer hasn't started. So this was just this was us doing a very common thing all of us do, right? It was reacting to the trauma of a past game rather than what's actually happening in this game. So very common. Lots of us make that mistake where we've had a few really rough run-ins with Nidus Worm. So we go, fuck. I think it could be a Nidus Worm. Exactly. PTSD, as many of us call it. And it's just totally irrational because that is not a threat at all in this game. And if we look at this, it's like, where's the bunker? Where's the tank? We spent all the gas on a starport. We forgot to put guys on second gas for a while, I believe. I think our second gas was late because we were distracted. And we just can't even start a tank, and the bunker just never goes down. And the thing is, this should have been the easiest hold of your life if we just reacted faster. Now, there's two responses here, right? You've got to say, this should have been an easy hold. I know the response. And a lot of people go, fuck, I'm an idiot. Ah! And they like rock back and forwards in their chair screaming at themselves. And that's not a good way to improve at StarCraft. And we're going to try to not do that. We're going to both embrace the fact that we made a silly mistake. We're going to laugh at it. We're going to go, that's fine. Let's write down the exact response for next time. So back to the structure I was talking about here in the document. We've got the problem, right? The problem is hatch first, sneaky roach bust. Let's add some more details. Let's be super precise. So we're going to say it hits at 3 minutes 50 with 5 roaches / ravagers. Hit your natural at 3 minutes 50. Okay, that's the problem. So now we've got the tells. No drone production in natural. No queen on natural fast. Roach horn, 2 gases. Any of these is a huge tell. Okay, so our reaction is bunker on high ground and siege tank ASAP. Delay starport if needed to get tank out. Though I don't think you need that, to be honest. I think you'd be fine if you just put guys on gas straight away and stuff. But we'll see. You might need to add a detail like that, right? So bunker on high ground, siege tank ASAP. Make orbital, then retreat CC to high ground. Awesome. So that's pretty easy. Bring 5 SCVs to auto repair if needed. But you really shouldn't even need that. Now, that's one way of doing it. You know what's even better than that? He doesn't have link speed, and he's going to siege you from the low ground. He could even snipe your tank with an Overlord and Biles. What about building a Cyclone? A Cyclone is going to actually give you the maneuverability to just get this out of your base. If the Overlord comes forward, you can snipe it with a lock-on, and that's going to be awesome. So I'm going to actually write a bonus points reaction here. Bonus points reaction. So if you can confirm no ling speed. If there's ling speed as well, we're a bit more worried about just getting overwhelmed by like a crazy push. So we're kind of like, okay, let's maybe make the tank. If we're worried about us making mistakes, obviously the tank gives us more room for error, whereas the Cyclone's very fragile, very micro intensive. It's easier to make a mistake by you can just always siege the tank really far back from your wall and you're unkillable, right? But with the Cyclone, it's a little bit more fragile. But if you can confirm no ling speed, with this push, just make a Cyclone and you can retake your natural really fast. Now, what's really cool is, have you ever read the Terrancraft blog?
Yeah, sometimes.
He's got a really recent post, so we're going to link that up for you. Sorry. I just linked it to you. We're going to link it in Twitch chat as well. And he was talking about this exact same pressure. So nice topical article. So he talks about, and he has like some VODs and stuff and some different things. And there's a game of TY versus True. So I believe it's in this game. So
one of the most
open that VOD up quickly. And I believe, because I skimmed this article the other day, and I think he said that, yeah, he actually responds, check out this. How cool is this counter to it? So he gets a Cyclone. If you jump to about 4 minutes in the YouTube video, it's embedded on that page. I linked it to you on Discord, by the way. Have you got it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, so once you're in there, go to about 4 minutes, and he just shuts this down with a Cyclone. And True, who's looking to drone up behind it and get ahead and delay the natural, loses his spotting Overlord, loses his roaches and ravagers, and is like, shit, I'm 2 base first, 2 base. But not just that, TY builds a second Cyclone and brings them across the map in a medevac. Because always the hard thing after defending one of these pressures is how can I scout what the opponent's doing, put on a little bit of counter pressure without overcommitting. Like, I often end up in this scenario where I'm like, oh shit, he's being really greedy, and I push with like 2 tanks and like 10 Marines with no upgrades, and I try to bring like an SCV and build a bunker or something, because like I want to put pressure on because I know they're being so greedy afterwards. And it's like, sometimes it does crazy damage, and sometimes it just whiffs and it does nothing, because it's like, there's no way you can pull out. What I love about this pressure from TY is he can pick off overlords, right? You can push back their vision. You can lock onto any roaches or ravages. They're not going to have roach speed. It's such a flexible pressure. And TY even brings 2 SCVs across the map to do some battlefield repair, which is just the coolest thing ever. So like, I just think this is such a fun, cool way of doing it. And it's just awesome because you get to read Max's whole kind of, you know, breakdown of why this is Max is the author of Terrancraft, by the way, or breakdown of why this is, you know, such a good way of doing it. So I've been wanting to try this as well, this double cyclone drop, kind of to get some counter pressure, and then just go back to whatever your normal build is behind it. Do you reckon you'd be keen to give this a go as well?
What?
Do you want to try the same cyclone response and do 2 cyclone medevac to counter pressure afterwards?
Would be interesting. Kind of hard, but interesting, definitely.
It's very micro intensive, right? That's what's kind of scary about it. I when I do this, so the way I visualize is I'm not doing it the way TY is doing it here, right? What I like about it is if you go to
anybody else does.
Exactly. Go to the 5-minute mark in the YouTube video. It's him picking off the overlords. That's the main thing I would get out of this, right? I might do like 1 poke in the front to get a creep tumor or a queen or a roach or something. Well, like if I'm going for a queen, I would just manually lock them both onto the same queen. Because you know, if you attack move cyclones, they won't double lock onto the same target. But I'm like, I would just double lock onto the same queen, try to kill her, pick up, leave. Because I don't want to be staring at it. You know, TY can macro flawlessly while drippy dropping cyclones. He's like engaging Ling Ravager. And fuck that. I would just pick off an overlord or 2. Get some information about where my opponent's at. If you catch a 3rd hatchery just starting, you can just double lock onto it and kill it, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I think this is a good way of doing it. Obviously, you could just do it a different way, but I think this answers our question of how we can put on counter pressure. Alternatively, you can just go a single cyclone and 4 Marines in this medevac. Still going to do the same thing. You can go across the map and do some pressure, and that way you can get faster into a safety tank at home in case there's a follow-up wave, and all your normal stuff, going back into Hellions, tanks, and all the rest. What are your thoughts?
Not too much. I'm still watching the video and wondering if he planned this shit out or if he just come up with this shit on the spot.
I reckon in a previous ladder game.
Fucking amazing.
I reckon in a previous ladder game he came up with it kind of half on the spot, and it probably wasn't as well executed. But like this sort of pressure out of True's been around for a long time, so I reckon he has experience with it. With the number of games he plays, like he's played a very similar scenario to this before for sure. I'll link that in chat as well, even though it was embedded in the previous article. But yeah, awesome. All right, so let's get back to your game. So, and think about this now. And I think this is really nice just to have a contingency. This is kind of well beyond your current concern, because honestly, if you just survive, you'll be way ahead. Because like if you look at the game we're in, your opponent's not droning yet. So he's making his Ravages now, but he could already be building more Overlords and drones. There we go. Okay, he's not too slow on it. And then we just die. Now, nonetheless, if you simply held on, survived, even without the counter pressure, you'd probably still be in a really good position, and it would be quite nice. So the more important thing is we've got the reaction now. Bunker on the high ground, siege tank ASAP, make an orbital and retreat the siege to the high ground, bring 5 SCVs to auto repair if need. So we're going to go Cyclone ASAP. So we're going to go Cyclone, then siege tank is what we're actually going to do with this, okay? Now, I can already see someone watching this coaching session in chat, they apply this, and they get overwhelmed, and the Cyclone doesn't add enough damage to help. And the difference there is they're probably dealing with a later Roach Ravager push that is like 10 Ravagers and 100 Zerglings. We don't want a Cyclone versus that. We want a Cyclone versus this because there's no Ling speed. It's just a small number of Ravagers, which the Cyclone can out-micro. We also do need to have good micro to deal with this. So this is not a beginner move, the Cyclone. The Siege Tank is the easier unit to use. So likewise, if you find yourself facing down a bigger Roach Ravager timing, just get the tanks, be 100% safe, right? But if we're dealing with this very specific super fast versions where it's just a bunch of Roaches or Ravagers, we're gonna get a Cyclone, then a Siege Tank for safety. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go Medevac immediately. counter pressure with 4 Marines and a Cyclone in the drop. Just pick off Overlords and that sort of stuff. Drop in a mineral line, but the Queens come, pick up, leave. Don't need to do too much with it, okay? So we're going to get rid of the bonus points, and we're going to just make the Cyclone the standard response. Now, the last point here is, what do you do after you've defended a push? After you've done this reaction, it's kind of you've branched away from your normal build. Do you have any sort of plan for how you get back to your normal thing? Do you follow any rules? Do you just go back to the normal?
Well, if I would hold it, I would just stick to the point. If you're ahead, get more ahead. So I build my third and then, yeah, continue with my plan most of the time, I would say.
All right. Continue with normal plan. So branch back to your main build and try to find that comfortable rhythm, that comfortable order, right? Kind of go third CC. Would you still go battle cruiser? Like, I don't mind it if you're really comfortable with it, because like there's always something to be said for like just doing what you're best at and what your original game plan was. But it's just like, maybe you're like, oh nah, I only like going to that straight. I will skip that part, but everything else will be the same. Like we'll do the same armory and factory timing, and we'll just kind of go up. But it's your call. But you've got to decide ahead of time. So do we go for a BC after that or no?
Sure. Straight out ahead, I would say go Liberator first now. Because I just saw roaches and lings and maybe got 1-2 queens. Nothing to really block it.
Okay. I mean, Liberator is your normal build, so why not just go Liberator into BC? I think that's a good idea. Just follow your normal plan. Yeah. Like Liberator into BC, third CC, etc., etc. So just your completely normal game plan. And the thing is, if you do that well, it's going to work. Sometimes people make the mistake, if they try to do this, they really screw up the execution because they screwed up the initial defense, and then they're floating hundreds of resources, or they forgot to take a gas, and everything's all over the place. And they're like, my normal response doesn't work. And it's like, no, you just executed bad. Do it better next time, you'll win. And it's like a real simple fix in that scenario. Now, I think we've come up with a really good plan of how to deal with this specific push. Even here, you should have been fine. Even with your slow response, right? Because your bunker was almost done. If you just pulled 5 SCVs, pulled your Marines behind your bunker, raised your depot, all you need is to get your bunker up, and you hold this push actually quite comfortably. So what's really reassuring here is we reacted so late, and we left like the depot down. We lost all of our firepower on the outside of the wall. And if we just pulled back, if we like were to recover game from 10 seconds before, we would still crush this push and be in a good position. And that's very reassuring. That's awesome. So we've realized, okay, we were just a bit traumatized by Nidus. We're not going to be in that position next time. You would destroy this pressure the next time you play against it. Awesome. Let's hop out of this game and let's look at another ZVT replay, shall we? TvZ.
Yeah, sure.
So host up another one, and we can kind of look more at the build. It can be really good. Let's take a look at, see if anyone in chat is like a Twitch chat GM who's actually done a really good question or point. Musefel says, what about the positioning of the bunker? Oh yeah, we want the bunker to be as far forward as possible, so it's hard for them to pick off the reactors and the depots. So on that map, it's kind of hard because you can't squeeze it down to the left of the wall. You'd just have it probably right up against the depot. To make it hard for them to push forward. And the thing is, as long as you get the Cyclone out, you'll get rid of the Overlord high ground vision, so they won't be able to snipe your reactor and your depots. Thank you, Cranlaw, for the sub, as well as Comet Chaser. Really appreciate the support, guys. I don't think there was any other really good GM Twitch chat comments. Are you just looking through for a good replay right now?
No, I don't get the stream on, so I'm not 100% sure what to do now. I found one.
Okay, awesome. No worries. Yeah, no, that's fine. Just as long as we've got replays, we can go through and we can just flesh out the TvZ game plan. Because that game, you didn't really get to do your build. So that was a really good thing, because once again, before we get into that game, I want you to just look at the document one more time and think about what we did there, which was, first of all, problem. We identified the problem. We defined it. hatch first, sneaky roach bust, 3 minutes 50, 5 roaches, ravages. We identified the tells of that push. So we looked at what it looks like, and we looked at the things we could see that could tell us it's coming. And then we wrote down every exact detail of our reaction, including having a counter pressure built in. And we also wrote down a couple of notes on the Nidus scare, since we panicked and did a very different response. Yeah. So let's go into replay 2 now. And this one, we might have a very different point, right? If it's a macro game, it might be a little bit more, rather than having a very clear problem, my opponent did X and it killed me, we might be able to just focus a little bit more on this, this is our build, let's do it more efficiently. There was a problem here, or a problem there, yada, yada. So looks like we are going to be doing a very all-in build. We're going to do are you doing the 2 barracks proxy? Looks like it.
Yeah.
Into factory behind it?
Yep. Oh, okay. No. It's, let's say it went a little bit wild. It was, kind of hard to remember. It was 2 racks proxy into 4 barracks into 3 factories and wild late game.
Okie doke.
Probably kind of hard to analyze because and it's a little bit weird.
How much do you do the 2 racks?
Let's say TvZ like 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10. Okay, so this is one where, especially practicing it 5-10 games in a row, will give you a lot more practice, like mechanically with the muscle memory. This bunker placement's really good for not being scouted, but it's really quite far away from the base. So it's rather conservative, the way you've set this up. And we didn't take a gas behind it yet. So I'm not a big fan of the way we're executing this, because you're committing a huge amount to this push, but we don't have a 3rd barracks and we don't have a 3rd or 4th SCV for bunkers. So normally, if you watch the way Maru would do this, he'd already have a gas mining and his factory would be going down very soon at home. Or he's got a 3rd barracks. And then there's the really noob version. You'll even see in GM sometimes on ladder. I call it the noob version. I do it sometimes as well, where you just go 4 barracks. And at some point, you have to pull every SCV and just go. It's super all in, super all in. The other problem here is we're committing really hard, but none of our bunkers are in range of that hatchery. So whilst they do create a good fallback position, he actually could have quite easily potentially got a spine up on this natural. And, it's just a little bit unsure that we'll get that expansion. And I'm not sure. So what's the follow-up plan here? Is it to take double gas factory, or do we go straight command center, then double gas factory? What's your follow-up here?
The problem is I just played 1.5 months so far. Before I never really tried it. Tried it once and one. Jesus. 1.5 months now, and it's not sitting so comfortable. So I pretty often mess up some details, and I played it now, I guess, 10 times. So it's.
Did you watch any of the replays of it? Do you do a little rewinding?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, at this point, I think we should have seen a big problem, and that is we've got 600 minerals and nothing going down behind it. Now, in your mind, do you look at that and say, oh, I just should have put my command center down by now? Or because it feels like you don't have a clearly defined plan. And it's not necessarily about having the correct plan, but it's about what is the plan? So it feels like you've decided, I just want to deny the natural. That's all I want to achieve from this. And then transition into a normal game. Is that right?
Yeah, right. I just wanted to kill his natural and then pull everything back, rescue of the Marines, and go on from there.
Yeah, the problem is we're not going into that normal game, right? And we're not clearly defined on what the next part is. So basically, if we want to think of it, there's 2 extreme ends. One is whether it's proxy or not, or a regular build, we're going as all in as possible, or we're focusing on the longer game as much as possible. Usually we're not on the very extreme ends of that, but it can be helpful strategically to think about it. The very extreme end of going all in with this is having a 4th barracks over there, and then at some point pulling almost all your SCVs, and you have to win with that push, right? The other extreme end, off of a proxy 2 racks, is you already having a factory up, a command center on the low ground at this point, building, not finished, but they're started. You've got your gas mining, you're adding your second gas, and your barracks are already floating home, which you are doing with one of them in this game. The important thing here is not which one is right. The important thing for us is which one is our plan so that we can consistently apply it over time. Now, the problem with this replay specifically is like we can analyze and come up with a plan all day for your all-in. The important thing for you is to just try and, actually come up with a plan and then follow it. So I kind of don't want to spend too much time on this. Like if possible, I'd like to get into another Mech TvZ so we can actually look at your build and your mid game and that sort of stuff. So for this one, I'm just going to write a couple of notes really quickly, and then we can either hop into a live game against someone in chat, or if you don't have a good replay on hand, or we can just look at another replay. What do you reckon? What do you want to focus on? We can focus really hard on this build if you want as well. It's obviously your choice.
I'm not 100% sure if I could find a good replay quickly, so...
Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to define the gas timings and CC timing behind your Turax. Make sure you build a bunker in range of the hatchery. And if you do that, you can ensure you're going to kill the hatch, and you actually have the follow-up going down behind it. So that's all. In this game, we just didn't have a clear role. So I think you can very easily do that. And if you want a write-up, there is a very basic write-up. Very basic write-up of Maru's one in the Book of Filth. Have you looked at the Book of Filth at all?
No.
Okay. Just type !filth in my Twitch chat. Anytime, even when I'm offline. And I haven't been doing that build much, but I still very occasionally will do that build. And when you pull it off just right, it's very satisfying. Or just go more all in and do, 3 or 4 racks and pull all the boys. All right, so if anyone's around Diamond 3 Zerg, please do. Arjun, hop in chat channel Pig on the EU server. Help us out. Spencer, if you can make me the party leader. And Arjun, get in and please hop in chat channel Pig, message us, and we'd love to get you in. We're going to host up. Like to get a game going as quickly as possible so we can have some time to look at how it plays out. We'll play Kairos Junction because it's a map. Actually, you know what? We'll do Neuropugnancy. I think that's another map everyone's very comfortable with. Arjun, thank you for being a god and helping us out. But you said you're Diamond 3 Toss, and oh yeah, you're a 2-race player. You're a Diamond 3 Zerg as well. Fantastic. So Arjun in the chat's going to hop in. We'll be here in a second to help us out. Thank you, Arjun. Arjun says I'm kind of a big deal. He's very excited. So you got to stomp him to get rid of that ego. Awesome. All right, so yeah, just follow your build order here. And like I said, like what we defined a few things a little bit better in your write-up. We didn't really make any changes to your build order. So you literally just need to get in your rhythm, try and play your normal game here. And I'm gonna just kind of be as silent as possible. There's a few people who really like being talked in their ears when possible while playing. I hate it personally. I think it really throws off your internal kind of order of what you're prioritizing, what you're looking at. If you would rather I talk a lot and really tell you what to do while you're playing, just let me know. But otherwise we're just gonna chill. We've got Dr. Ryan in. Arjun doesn't know how to join a chat channel. Oh god. Arjun, please hurry. Join Piggy. Says when trying to join chat channel, it throws me into Pig Pan. Pig's daily trying to teach people how to join chat channels. There we go. Okay, fantastic. All right. Go Zerg, turn off stream, unmute it, etc. All right, Spencer, are you feeling good? You good to go, man?
Yeah, sure.
All right, let's see if Arjun is... Hopefully Arjun can go Zerg. So we could play Battle... Have you played Battle Cruisers versus Protoss at all?
Yeah. Failed miserably.
You gotta do the one-base proxy Battle Cruiser. That's a build order I haven't done in a while. The silliest of all builds.
The normal build like I would do it versus Zerg and oh god.
Yeah, it's It can be quite awkward. Charge Lots and Blinkstalk is pretty good at busting through. Nate somehow finds a way of doing it sometimes, but yeah, it's always weird. Anyway, get in your groove. Let's kick some ass. It's New Repugnancy. This map's not going to be on the ladder pool in a few days' time, so enjoy the cute doggos while you can. Good luck, have fun, man.
Thanks.
Oh, Rufus. Where are you, Rufus? Can you hear me, man? I don't think you can see the doggos through the fog, guys. Can you? Can you see doggos through fog? I don't think so. I think you need to actually get vision. Rufus, where are you? Hopefully someone scouts. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, Rufus is the doggo. His daddy is a Thor. I wouldn't volunteer to practice in fear of not knowing how to properly join chats. No, it's just we're in a hurry because like this session's finishing real soon. So I just wanted to get into a game very quickly. Because like I really want to help Spencer with his regular TvZ, and then he kind of threw us in a really sloppy 2-racks game, and I was like, oh no. And he was like, well, I haven't been doing it that long, and I was like, okay, like yeah, let's look at the actual mech game plan and help improve that. It's Rufus with an umlaut, an F, and a PH. Oh my god. Wow. That's spelling. Rufus! Rufus! Oh, Rufus. What do we think? Have we? I don't think we've actually named the female dog, guys. I don't think it is a female dog. The other one, the one that's kind of like a little bit lighter. I like to think she's female. I can't actually see her like undercarriage or anything. It's kind of hard to identify the sex of the dog. But her name could be Catalina. I don't know why Catalina. It's a StarCraft map. Rufette? No! That's a shit name. Rufette? You guys suck. That's a terrible name.
Complete.
It's a terrible name. So the Reaper's on time this game. Is it rallied across the map? It is. Let's bring up those control groups as well. Second Depot, Marine. His drilly boy's having a bit of a drill, which is good. Let's take a look at this. Rufette. That sounds like a real creepy dude's pet name for his roofies. He tries to bloody drug people within bars and she's like, oh, time to give the ladies some Rufettes or something. You're like, what the fudge? Get out of here. Rufina, also terrible. These all sound like nicknames for roofies, guys. It's not cool. It's actually so scary that like there's fucking creepers out there that do that shit as well, man. I had a friend the other week say like drank a drink that like some dude bought for a girl, and he just like completely blacked out and like lost his memory. I was just like, that's so fucking scary, man.
Our SCVs on the attack.
He's forgotten his orbital. So his orbital was a bit late there, like very late. Where's the Marine?
SCV ready.
Am I blind? Where is that Marine, guys?
Complete.
Oh! Okay. It's hiding.
Command center.
SCV ready.
That second, the third gas goes down. Okay, so he does third gas when the starport comes in. Just after the starport goes down. Okay. Let's go back. TvZ build order.
SCV ready.
Starport plus third gas. We're writing that in the build order. So Liberator's gonna come out. Fusion Core is exceptionally late, guys.
SCV ready. SCV
Yeah,
ready.
Fusion Core is exceptionally late.
SCV ready.
Needs to go down the second the port finishes, even before lib starts. Yeah, this is a massive delay. Even with a Rax gas, he could have a battle cruiser starting by just about by about 15 seconds ago. Now, if you go Liberator, it's always going to be delayed by a little bit, but you should not be starting it like later than about 4:45, 4:50. So that's a bit unfortunate. Starport wasn't rallied either. Starport should be rallied across the map.
SCV ready.
Not control grouping Hellions
SCV ready.
and accidentally running Marine around the map. Yes, that is an F2 problem. Hellion rally point should be on ramp or above ramp. Never on low ground until after you until after natural wall off is finished.
Ready to raise some hell.
And that's the reason why, is you can defend really well.
Be ready.
There's also Ling run by. Always run your Hellions between the mineral line. You could have dealt with that very easy. Into the gap of the minerals. A move SCVs, once Lings get into contact with Hellions. It will be a natural surround, and Hellion Splash will also be maximized. So there's like lots and lots of details here.
SCV ready.
So he's added his second and third factory and his 2 armories, but yeah, his pressure is going to be so late, and now he's gone in with his Liberator about 2 minutes after it needed to go, after it could have gone in. That's also standing way closer. It can actually be further down. Of course, you know, the minimap's there, so I get it's awkward. You've kind of got to click next to the minimap. So you can actually rotate your camera to click further into the corner when you're trying to do that. It's not very often you have to do that, but it's good to know. But yeah, he should have been pressuring a lot sooner. So the BC is going to pressure these two. Liberator's going to siege the back of the main, and then the Hellions are going to try to run in. Hellions are kind of on an awkward angle for it, but yeah, let's see. So Liberator's going there. I mean, I like that he's trying to create a lot of problems for his opponent. And he's actually using hold position, I think, on that BC, which is bloody sexy.
Add-on complete.
Does a BC beat 4 queens if they don't transfuse? Yes. If the queens run right underneath it and don't transfuse because they're distracted, a BC ravages 4 queens, guys. The advantage of the queens is their longer range and their transfuse. That's what makes them deal with BCs. So that's pretty good, but like this could have hit much faster. This could have been hitting a lot faster. That depot's been raised the whole time, which is just awkward.
SCV ready.
Depot on top of ramp raised, creating awkward SCV transfer and Hellion movement all game long. Super awkward, I hate it. Now he's gone his 3 factories, he's got his double armories, his 3rd CC is incredibly late. 3rd CC is super late. Should start before extra factories every game.
Ready to raise.
Mineral field depleted.
SCV ready.
Or at least at the same time as them.
SCV ready.
He's also got 2 reactors, 1 tech lab, which is wrong.
Upgrade complete.
2 reactors, 1 tech lab on factories. Should be the opposite. 2 tech labs. And right now, like, it's nice to do a little bit of pressure here, but the extra factories going down and the 2-2 starting are far more important. Also, we've gone Yamato, but we've lost our battlecruiser. We're not building another battlecruiser, so that makes no sense. Whoa, what just happened? What did I just press?
Command center. Mineral field depleted.
What did I just press, guys? How do you change game speed? The shit did I just press?
SCV ready.
I just slowed down the game speed. SC2, how to change game speed. I mean, no need to, I don't think they even noticed. F10 options gameplay. You can do it in there?
Queued up, ready to go.
It's like small, but it makes a big difference. That actually happened once in a
Mineral field depleted.
GSL match. Plus minus on the numpad? Okay, I must. Jesus Christ. It's so dumb that that's even like. I'm like, who wants to change the speed during a match? It's so silly. So the extra factories are coming down now, but yeah, that he had 2 reactors up so early. So if you non-stop build Hellions out of a reacted factory, guys, it can build 6 Hellions in just over a minute. Like 1 reactor factory can build more Hellions than you'll ever need, essentially. Yeah, okay, sometimes it's nice to go mass Hellion, especially against like Hydraling Bane, that sort of stuff, but it's way more important to get those tech labs up. So right now though, I accidentally pressed that. Let's finish writing these notes. Went Yamato, yet didn't keep building BCs. Lost the first one. Was super gas starved. You have to prioritize. Looks like you'd be more comfortable with just 1 BC, no upgrade into traditional mech.
Our SCVs are under attack.
Wow. Arjun is embracing the YOLO. Fortunately, that tank's not in a good position. And just in general, the tank production was really bad because the tech labs weren't up. This is such a silly attack from Arjun. It'd be very frustrating that those Hellbats just did so much damage, guys. And those 3 tanks popped out just in time. Yeah. Oh, that tank's gonna fall. There's still 2 tanks over there though, so yeah. Arjun's dead. Good move. Good hold. Pretty good crisis management, but yeah. The tech labs there were a huge problem. And he's going range libs. So he goes 2nd starport range lib. So he goes for the range lib edition. I think that's really cool. It adds a lot of complexity to your army. I like the 2nd starport range lib transition. Really adds a lot of complexity to your army and the ultimate harassment tool. With, you know, with lib harass in late game. So as much as he should just be trying to recover his macro and get his position back up, and this is such an awkward, yeah, that depot, he was constantly forgetting to lower that. Something as a Terran player, you've got to be really on top of keeping that depot down, guys. I do like his building placement overall though. I think it's not bad. So he's got to transition workers from his main and his natural. Like he just moved workers from his 3rd, which makes no sense because it's obviously these 2 bases. Like this base can be on 20 workers totally fine. So he moved workers there just kind of out of habit, I think. And there's creep like right on his doorstep. So even though Arjun took a terrible trade, he can still come back from that.
Command center upgrade complete.
Since it's mostly Roach, you want to have mostly Hellbats, guys. We haven't seen Lings, we haven't seen Banes, Hydras. Hellions having more range is not really going to help them. You just want to make sure you've got enough meat to absorb fire. And if the tank's here, you want the Hellbat here. So if the Ravager comes in range to land Biles, it's eating Hellbat fire. And you're definitely not getting auto attacks on your tanks. It's only the Biles barely able to reach them. So Hellion counterattacks are good. That's not a good Hellion counterattack though, guys. Never, ever, ever do you want to send 20 Hellions across unless your opponent's only on Lingbane Hydra and you think they don't have enough mobile units to deal with it. Now in this scenario, you always lift off the command center. If you fly it just a little bit out of range, it will be repaired. Yeah, that's because their damage ramps up after 5 seconds and it's way higher than their regular attack damage. This is costing him a lot of minerals. It's not the end of the world, he's got minerals to spare. But just a little tidbit, guys. Always lift off CC versus Corruptor P.
Upgrade complete.
Fly it out of range and Q it to move back and land again. The Piss has insane DPS after 5 seconds of channeling, but will break if you move away. Oops. 20 Hellion counterattack is a terrible idea. Never do it. Unless you are versus pure Hydra and think they don't have any Roaches, Banes that can respond. If you split 20 Hellions into 4 different mineral lines
Liberation is at hand.
at the same time, That is something I like. But there's just no reason to have 20 Hellions hitting one mineral line. So we're writing that all down. Now some of you might be like, aren't you meant to tell him this? You're coaching him. He has about 1,000 things he's focusing on right now. There's no way he's gonna have the mental bandwidth to process what I'm saying right now. We could tell him 1 or 2 of these small things, but I would much rather watch how he plays in his own element. The moment I start telling him things, yeah, it's gonna give immediate value if he remembers one thing, but it's gonna diminish my ability to see what he does on his own. Because the moment I start telling him to do things, I'm taking his focus away from what his focus normally is, and it's gonna make it really tough to do that. Now, one of the big problems right now is he keeps building Liberators against a guy who's already gone Corruptors. So he's not really thinking about his composition quite as much as I would like to see. Like, he's got no anti-air here. So those Liberators, why would you attack with Liberators when your opponent, you've got nothing that shoots up except a Thor? Imagine if those Liberators ran around the back and sieged up on every mineral line. This Arjun would lose so many workers, you'd be frantically struggling to deal with it. But instead, we're moving in with those where Arjun can just pull back his ground army, engage with the air, and deal with it that way. Oh, Arjun, that's not... What the fuck did I just watch? Oh, God. Can't believe that kind of almost half worked. That was a disaster. If he'd come in from 2 sides, I like it because a lot of the army wasn't sieged, but like just the move in like that was like, oh.
Got any extra firepower?
Yeah.
Ready to raise some hell.
Take it back, Pig. He had a Viking. Sorry, guys. I think there's like, he's doing some really good shit. He's methodically expanding, he's pushing across the map, but yeah.
Thor is here.
He had Corruptors, and you only had 1 Thor for AA. Your Liberators were useless in direct combat. In this scenario, always send all your Liberators to go harass. Way more effective.
Field depleted.
Well, I'll take away all. Just say send your Liberators to harass. It's way more effective. Once again, this is more Hellions than you need, guys. Just 3 or 4 Hellions is such a less cost, and you'd get just as much damage most of the time. Oh. Roach is running in, sacrificing himself for a few SCV kills. He's F2'd home because he saw some roaches. He's got no control groups right now, at all. Yeah, I really dislike that. No control groups in most of this game. We could have dismantled our opponent with harass. We didn't keep pulling our units home accidentally.
I'm in Thor is here.
So this is something...
Who called in the fleet?
Mineral field depleted.
I'm in a heap of trouble.
Upgrade complete.
Definitely working on our control group usage could have huge payoffs. Swap into pure Thor production, burst broods, and conserve your tanks to protect the Thors. Yeah. I think he's gonna be okay. Still got 3-3 versus 3-3. No melee upgrades though, so the Broodlords don't really do any damage.
Mineral
They're just like annoying. So he has such a big economy. If there was any harassment during all this, like, there's no way Arjun would have been able to keep up this reinforce. He also didn't use auto repair. So a little note. Something Arnak told me to do. And we finally set a hotkey for it. Always turn repairing SCVs on auto repair. So they keep repairing afterwards. Hotkey is Alt plus repair. I think. Check. I use custom hotkeys. But yeah, that's actually helped me a lot once I got used to pressing a certain hotkey for that. So he's gonna push in here, and it looks like he will end up winning with the counter push. I don't actually agree with this counter push because like his SCVs are like he's got 45 SCVs on one base. He's not mining gas. So like you know what's happening, guys, is he keeps building advantages and then headbutting when that's the last thing he should possibly be doing. Like his advantage should be economical, and it should be chipping away at his opponent behind it. Because like he's not playing players who know how to beat Thor, Liberator, BC, this sort of army and tank. He's drowning his opponent in his superior macro. But like, yeah, if he used control groups, we'd be looking at a game where he outshines Arjun so much. Because there are some things he's doing which are incredible. And you can tell Spencer is an old school gamer, I think, who has a lot of RTS experience over the years. And if he reframes kind of what his goals are, I think he'll kick some ass. I think he'll destroy. The F2 is absolutely terrible. It's a really bad habit. Even some of the old school gamers have fallen into it when they got back into it. Ravaged. Nice.
Was a long ride.
I don't mind going a bit overtime in our very first coaching session, so it's all good, because that was an exciting game. I've written you a goddamned essay of notes during that game. There were so many good little details, because there are some things you're doing well beyond your skill level. I was just saying in a chat that if you can reorganize a few things you're doing and a few of your goals, like this sort of game would be so much easier for you. You played so well, so like hats off to you. Like I said, I cannot believe how well you played with some parts, but you also made it a lot harder for you than it needed to be with some other things. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing beyond all the little details, and I'd like you to rewatch that replay, since we're out of time, I really can't go through all the points with you, but read the notes in the document while rewatching this replay. And I want you to go through all those notes. And this, you could even do it tomorrow as well, probably when your brain's a bit fresher. I think it's probably going to be more useful then. But the biggest one beyond everything is control group usage. So you said sometimes you use it a lot. Sometimes the game goes to shit and you don't control group. And this game, there was very little control grouping your army all game long. Yep. Almost none. And this was fine at most scenarios because you're very well organized with certain things you're doing. But there was a few points where it let you down, where I could tell like you weren't comfortable splitting up control groups for harassment. You sent 20 Hellions in one group. And I think that's part of because you know, if you spend time setting up units or liberators, I would say through experience, most of the time, they end up getting pulled back to your army if anything distracts you or harasses you, and you kind of waste all that APM. So you are tending towards, let's send 20 Hellions in, let's send 12 Hellions in, where if you'd been splitting those and even just queuing 2 Hellions to go into a mineral line, morph into Hellbats, you don't even need to micro them. We could have just been literally just clicking Hellions into mineral lines, and most importantly, clicking Liberators into mineral lines. And Arjun would have been destroyed. You drowned him economically. Like you just went bigger macro, more SCVs, more bases, and you drowned him. If you were also harassing Arjun, you would have absolutely slaughtered him, because there was points where it was like, oh cool, you're ahead, and you'd grab your whole army and you'd push, and it was when your army wasn't meant for pushing. For instance, he just got a lot of Corruptors out, and you'd seen this, and you just got Liberators, which would be great if he didn't have the Corruptors. Because he had the Corruptors, you had no other anti-air. You had like one Thor, and you pushed into him, and he just killed all your Liberators. So at that point, those Liberators could have been harassing, and we could have just been sitting there and going, okay, let's just build Thors and stuff and get ready for the Broodlords while harassing. And he wouldn't have been able to deal with it. If you queued up 3 or 4 ranged Liberators across the map, like while just sitting there and expanding and adding Thors, like it would have been great. And then like another time you pushed in, you weren't quite ready for the Broodlords, and you massacred this army, and like you ended up smashing him when he counterattacked because you just had such good spending. So just a few reorganizations there would be great, and a bit more of a focus on harassment. And that's where I think control group usage can be important. Even if you don't use control group usage, harassment as a goal in late game TvZ. And using your units appropriately. So don't run 20 Hellbats in and get them all killed for free. Split them up and go for small harassment. if your liberators aren't going to be useful in a frontal fight, queue them up for harassment. One of the great things about going fast range liberators like you do is they're the hardest thing for a Zerg to deal with. Such a good harassment tool. They're the best. They're absolute best. And with the economy you're building up to, you can afford to throw them away. Half your range liberators can do nothing. The amount it will stress out your opponent already pays enough. Even if they kill no workers, the Zerg's going to be like rocking back and forwards in his chair, screaming. So lots of little details like that. There's 1,000 other notes I wrote down there. So yeah, take the time tomorrow to reread those while watching that game and just kind of start getting your practice going. If anything in the notes doesn't make sense, just shoot me a message and we can do it. Otherwise, just shoot me a follow-up message if you want to set up another coaching session and we can organize that one.
Okay.
Awesome, man. Once again, congrats. That was a really awesome game. GG's, dude.
Yeah, was nice.
All right, man. So let me know how it goes. And yeah, have a good night, mate.
Yeah, you too.
All right, catch you later, brother.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
All right. Yeah, some really good things he was doing in that game, guys. So that was awesome.